English 232, Miss Brewer here for your, I don't know what week it is, 7, 8, something like that, lecture video. So I should be grading y'all's essay number 1 pretty soon, within the week, so you can look for that feedback. And then you guys had your discussion forum that you needed to participate in at the end of last week. That was on Langston Hughes. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to stay in the Harlem Renaissance. But this week you guys are going to be reading, it's a short read, How It Feels to Be Colored Me by Zora Neale Hurston. She wrote Their Eyes Were Watching God, which is just so good. If you have not read that novel, I highly suggest it. The movie's good too, but the movie is not the same as the novel. The movie has Halle Berry in it, and it's a great film. It just doesn't tell the story in like the same story as the book. There's a lot more that happens in the novel, but you'll see if you've read or seen Their Eyes Were Watching God, you will see the connections to Hurston's actual life, because she actually lived in an Eatonville, and kind of like, you know, a town full of people of color, and so that reflects in the novel, and then it also is mentioned here in our reading for this week. So it's not a super long read, because I want you guys to pair this reading with last week's reading with the poetry. And also I want you to go back to Du Bois, and I want you guys to look at the idea of double consciousness, okay? So as an African American in the United States, this idea of having two parts of you, okay? The black part of you and the American part of you, and do they go together, or do they collide, or how do they collide? And so I want all of us to kind of look into that. So I want you guys to you're going to be writing, don't freak out, because it's not like essay number 1. It's not like a super huge formal essay, but it is a mini essay assignment. So you won't need a works cited page, because I'm asking you to just use specific work. But you will need to cite parenthetically and quote from the poetry, and you will need to quote from Hurston's work. And I just want you guys to kind of look at this idea of double consciousness, and I want you to talk about how that idea is reflected in the literature. So in what ways does Langston Hughes show this idea of double consciousness? In what ways does Hurston show it in her literature, okay? And so we're not going to participate in a forum this week. You're essentially going to be writing, you know, the same amount of words, because the essay is 1,000 to 1,250 words. That's everything, including quotes and all the things. So make sure that it is an MLA format. So just make sure that you have your header and your heading, and then it's in the right font and those types of things. And you will upload that by Sunday. I suggest using at least Grammarly before you submit the assignment, because you are still submitting, you know, an essay assignment, even though it's informal. You don't want to turn in something that's a first draft. So if you choose to use tutoring, great. Of course, it's not required, but I would suggest having someone else look at your paper. And I would definitely suggest Grammarly at least. So you're just answering the prompt, and you're going to make sure that you cite the poems from last week, and that you cite How It Feels to Be Colored Me for this week, okay? And if you want to cite from the websites, you can, but if you do cite from the websites, then you will need to make yourself a works cited. I really just want you to talk about that idea of double consciousness and how it's reflected in the literature. That's what I'm looking for this mini essay assignment. If you guys have questions about that, feel free to shoot me an email, and I can further assist you, but I think it's pretty straightforward. So this is going to be wrapping up the Harlem Renaissance for us, and then next week we will move into the postmodernism for American Lit. I will check in with you guys next week. I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope you enjoy the reading.